Hey everyone, this is Mystery Girl with Missy, and I am bringing you on our first trip, and we're going to Mary's Grave in Long Island, New York. An urban legend that's been around for years and has terrified so many. You go down there as teenagers, and the first thing you want to do is get out. So, we are going to take a trip to Mary's grave, and you're coming with me. Depending on who you're talking to, there's different locations for Mary's grave. The one I always went to was head of the harbor on Harbor Road, and that's the one that anybody that I've ever spoken to believes is the one where the grave and the playhouse are, as well as Mary's house. The energy that you feel as soon as you get on these roads changes immediately. It's like this instant fear comes over you going down these roads. They're so narrow, and you know that if you need to turn around, like right here, it's not happening. You are not getting out. So here we are at the Playhouse. And in most of the stories, or the urban legends that you hear, they do have the Playhouse in it. The Playhouse here is not far from the house on the story, which I believe to be true. Now, Mary's grave is believed to be in Stonybrook, head of the harbor, which is somewhere I always went, and Mount Sinai. Now, head of the harbor is the one that almost everybody believes to be true, but there's different stories, and of course, like I said, people believe different things. So, growing up as a teenager, this is the one I always went to. The Legend of Mary, in all the years I have heard and have been to Mary's grave, I have never once heard a last name for her. So there's two different urban legends that I believe that may have some truth behind it. One I believe more than the other. I'm going to tell you the one I believe a little bit less, but do believe that it may be true. So like I said, there are different stories behind the legend of Mary's grave. And the first one being that Mary was a young girl and she became possessed by an evil spirit. The evil spirit part, I don't know if I believe so much. I'm not really into believing in evil spirits. But I kind of believe it has something to do with some neglect by her father, and maybe she even had some mental issues, depression, anxiety, psychosis, who knows. But as far as like the evil part and being possessed and stuff like that, I don't know if I believe that. Having some mental issues is a little bit more realistic for me. But to each their own, everybody believes differently. Anyway, she didn't have any friends, so she kept herself busy by playing with animals. Mary was a daughter of a very wealthy landowner. Her father built her this clubhouse that you're looking at, which is made of stone, and it's just past their home on the right-hand side of the road, which in this location on Harbor Road, this is exactly where it is, and it still stands. And this is where she played all the time. And eventually she started playing with animals. And also in the legend, it says that when she became possessed, after a while, she stopped playing with the animals and she started mutilating and killing and decapitating the animals. We've now entered the playhouse, and I'm going to show you where many people say she is buried, which is right there under the little bush. And then under the window, which you're going to see in a minute, is where the other area, which is more elevated, kind of looks like a tombstone, is the other place they say she is buried. And who knows, you never know. This right here is the gate to the house where Mary grew up. At one time, it did not look like that. It was actually very beautiful. But over the years of everybody going there, I guess it's gotten vandalized. But back to the story. When Mary apparently started killing the animals, after that, it wasn't enough for her, so she set out to kill both of her brother and her father with an axe. And after a while, people around town started wondering where the landowner was. And eventually, after not seeing him for a while, they decided it was time to go and check on that house and see if they could find him. And upon going to the house to check on him, not only did they find him dead, they found him dead in bed with Mary sleeping next to him with her covered in blood. Mary was hung by the people in the town um, from a nearby tree. Some say it was in the backyard, some say it was around the corner. No one seems to know exactly where the tree is. I mean, to this day, I don't think anybody knows where the tree is that she was supposedly hung from. Um, but the one thing that has been consistent is everybody says that you can see burn marks from the rope, and you can see it on the tree branch. Our clubhouse, as you saw, is still there to this day, and people still drive by. And let me tell you something, there are cops all over the place in this area. They drive by constantly because they know people are coming here to see this house and to see the Playhouse. So if you ever do come down there, just make sure that you are careful because there are cops everywhere. In the 1960s and the 70s, this is part of the legend, was that young men were considered brave if they went up to the gravesite and urinated on it. I don't know about that. Rumor has it that if a young man did do this, they would get into a car crash on the way home trying to avoid a ghostly figure of a girl wearing a white dress. Now, this is one story, I don't know. I believe part of it. I don't believe the whole thing. Maybe it's because I believe the other legend a little bit more. It's, I don't know, everybody believes, like I said, different ones, but I tend to believe the other one a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit more realistic in some ways for me. But I do have to tell you, coming down here is super creepy, and I myself have had stuff happen when I'm driving down to this area. I remember once coming down here and my car lost, what do you want to say, get up and go? I was hitting the gas and it really wasn't going too far. And I remember me and my friends just screaming our brains out, but it didn't do much because eventually once we got past this gated driveway, the car did pick up speed again. And you know what? I honestly don't think I would believe that if somebody had mentioned that to me, but it did happen to me on more than one occasion. So, things do happen down here. Now, if you look at the area, I mean, the whole entire area is full of mansions, and um, it's just a very rich area. Uh, but for some reason, whatever actually did happen in this house that night has definitely changed this house, and it's never been the same ever since. And remind you, I was a teenager in the late 80s, early 90s, and this is still a legend that's been going on and continues to draw attention and draw people to this house to see the legend of Mary and to see Mary's grave. So now I'm going to tell you the legend that I've heard, and the one that I believe, and the one that sounds a little bit more realistic to me. Um, and There's just things that when I went down there made more sense than the other legend did. So I'm going to share that one with you right now. This is the back of the house where Mary grew up as a little girl. Um, so the urban legend that I believe, the story that I heard, is that Mary's mother had died when Mary was a very young girl, and her father was raising her. And he was abusive, extremely abusive, and at times would abuse her at the clubhouse that he built for her. It was said that she turned to animals for love and affection, and then I guess as the abuse went on is when she started torturing the animals and maybe taking out her aggression, I guess, on the animals, and she started killing the animals. So it was said that she did kill the animals at the Playhouse. As a young teenager, after years of abuse, Mary became pregnant. Not being acceptable back then, and the times were very, very different. Mary was found out to be pregnant by her father, and she was hung in her closet. The closet that she was hung in was in her bedroom, and it's said even to this day that when you drive by the house, if you look at the windows, which nobody lives in it anymore, it's abandoned now, but back in the 90s, it was definitely lived in. And when you drove by that house, that pink room, it was a pink room, and the light was on every time. It didn't matter what time of day we drove by, but that pink light was on no matter what. One of the things I'll never forget is one of the times me and two of my friends were coming by to see Mary's grave. I can't even tell you how many times we drove here, and every time it was a different experience. But as we got in front of the house, we're looking at the pink light. We used to like to go at night. It was definitely scary at night, let me tell you. It was, I don't know, it was definitely a different experience. And I had a Camaro that had T-tops, and that was the first mistake. I should have put the top on the car that night. So we were definitely afraid because now we're not sealed, in. We have T-tops and the windows are down. We can roll the windows up, but what good is that going to do? Anyway, so we get in front of the house and the car starts slowing down. And my friend said, "What are you slowing down for?" It wasn't me. I was giving the car gas, but it was just going at its own pace. I couldn't, if I gave it more gas, it wouldn't go any faster. Next thing I know, my radio dies. And I'm hitting the button. I'm thinking one of them are playing a game on me. I'm hitting the button and it won't go back on. So we drive by, we stop in front of the house. We're all scared now. And of course the light is on, and we could have sworn we saw a shadow, but you never know. You think to yourself, my eye's playing tricks on me, but when you're there, that shadow is really real. So we continue going forward and we end up at the Playhouse. We stop in front of it. We don't get out of the car, but we stop in front of it, and again my radio goes out. As soon as we go around the bend to leave the area, my radio comes back on, and I have no problem with the power in my car. It was crazy, and it was just, another experience heading down to Mary's grave. So back to the legend. After she was murdered, supposedly by her father, and hung in the closet, it was said that she was buried at that playhouse that you had seen earlier. I'll show you more pictures of it. And it says that ever since then, if you look in the area when you're around, sometimes you can see a Jeep that's driving by. It's said that it is the father of the baby that Mary was pregnant with when she was murdered. I don't know. I've never seen the Jeep, but I have heard it. I don't know exactly anybody that has seen it. I don't doubt anybody. Anything is possible again. But I don't know. I gotta tell you, I believe in urban legends, and after going here and experiencing something every time that I went that was a little bit different, this is one urban legend that I do believe in some way is true. Over the years, people have, we're back at the Playhouse. Over the years, people have gone, and obviously, you could see things have been written on, it's been trashed on. But I gotta tell you, when you walk into this Playhouse, the energy, the feeling, your temperature, everything just changes. I swear the temperature drops like 20 degrees. Everyone that I know that has gone there says the same thing, that this window in the Playhouse, they swear that they can, it's like you feel somebody looking at you and staring at you. And people have gone down there with ghost boxes and everything, and they always say, and it's not just one person that has gone down there, many people. I don't have one of those, I've never tried it, but many people that have gone down there, they say that the energy that is coming through on the tracker is coming from the opposite side of the Playhouse through the window. So guys, thanks for taking a trip to Long Island with me, back to Mary's grave. And I hope if you're interested in urban legends, you've heard of this one. I want to make sure if you have been there that you drop some comments down below and we can discuss it. I want to know if anybody else has had experiences like I have. Have you experienced the light going on? Have you experienced the cold when walking in the Playhouse? Have you experienced anything happen to your car? I mean, I've heard some crazy stories from people of things happening to their cars down there. Have you ever gotten pulled over by all those cops down there? Have you ever seen that mysterious Jeep? And which story of Mary's grave do you believe? Now, there are two different Marys. There is another Mary on Sweet Hollow Road. Those two are not the same. This is totally a different Mary. But drop the comment down below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and look forward to new videos, hopefully coming soon. Thank you for being here for my first video ever. I'm sorry if my voice was shaky. I am a little nervous as it is my first video, but I look forward to bringing more. Just a reminder, this is an urban legend channel. This is a true crime channel, and I'll be covering both Long Island and South Florida. I'm originally from Long Island, now in South Florida, and I'll tell you, it's amazing to have the experiences of both North and South. I do miss my friends down up north, I should say. But for now, guys, this is Mary's grave, Sound of the Harbor on Harbor Road. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, and don't forget to comment. I do want to know your experiences if you've ever been to Mary's grave. Until then, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.